Alright, Mastering SolidWorks, Chapter 35. Creating sheet metal drawings. After you create your sheet metal models, you need to make drawings to use to get them manufactured. Fortunately, SolidWorks provides some nice tools to document dimensions and annotate your drawings and parts in 2D. Depending on whether your company does its own sheet metal manufacturing, you may or may not actually make a flat pattern drawing. Many companies do the outside manufacturing for their sheet metal parts, but just send their suppliers a drawing of their views of the dimension part in the folded state. This is because the final form dimensions are what you want. Final form dimensions are what you want in the shop to be reasonable. You want to be responsible for the different flat dimensions to achieve that. It doesn't really matter. Many think of the providing fully dimensioned flat pattern valuable to the sheet metal shop. If you sheet metal shop, the professional output will probably have their own software of their own way of doing things, in which ways these flat pattern redundant information may create with a more confusing on clarity. On the other hand, if your sheet metal shop specifically create a drawing for the sheet metal shop that created the flat pattern is actually your business. Chapter gives you the all information you need to make the sheet metal drawings, regardless of your role, without trying to tell you how to do your job. It's best to work out with the shop what data will make the process fast and cheaper with the fastest errors. In this chapter, you will learn to work with flat patterns and making special sheet drawing templates. Making sheet metal drawings. Sheet metal drawings can take various roles of the varied your product development process. Anything in general, make part of that looks like this. Actually specify how the work is to be done. Some of the drawings need only flat pattern, only form part. Here is I'll issue some of the sheet metal drawing require both form and flat part just to cover so much of the ground as possible. If you need a drawing to be both formed and flat geometry with formed and flat geometry, must consider making the two-page drawing with a one-page flat pattern with the other page fused of a 3D part. You might use the one drawing sheet with the press, the operator with the other sheet for inspection. If you need only flat pattern, you may consider using isometric view of the parts just for a reference. If your sheet parts are welded together, the other sheet metal with the structural cast stamp with the other plate parts, you might want to refer to the section labeled the chapter multi-sheet body metal parts drawings. You can accomplish the same things as assembly, and in some of the cases, the assembly will be better option. Many people think of the modeling multi-bodies as easier. Sheet metalling multi-body techniques are very little different, and is many an opinion that this does not offer many advantages of the normal multi-body techniques. If you must work in the mode, be careful to leave the room drawing exploded views within a weld list. Flattened patterns require some extra thought with the multiple sheet metal bodies in a single part. You may want to use a special drawing template for the sheet metal drawing. The special template can contain custom blocks, title blocks, and table anchors. Getting a flat pattern. When you need to make a drawing with a building and sheet metal part, getting a flat pattern is an essential part of the process. SolidWorks provides some of the work to develop the flat and bend section, K-factor, bending allowance, bend deduction, bend calculation tables. Getting the values or equations correct, and this is the key to making a flat pattern correct side of the produce the finished part accurately. Chapter 34, use the SolidWorks sheet metal tools, cover how to use the methods, but should obtain the actual value of your sheet metal shop. Create the drawing sheet metal part with the same way that you would create one with any other type of part. You can use one of several methods, including creating drawings from the part, commanding, dragging, dropping part onto the drawing. Sheet metal drawings may serve the different purposes of the usually sheet metal drawings require dimension orthogonal views. Finished part. Systemized also require flattened part and part pattern to describe the blank form of the which finished part was formed. To show a view of the flat pattern drawing, you would already have sheet metal part with select the view of the feature manager of the graphics window, and the list of views below with the standard views are orientational panel with the property manager for select flat pattern from the list of the drawing view property is shown in Figure 35.1. Drawing view property with the default reference configuration, rename configuration, orientation standard view. We've clicked more views, a flat pattern. The work won't. This won't work for projected views if you have placed the name view. SolidWorks may change the view for the part or to lay a flat pattern down the sheet. Understanding flat patterns and configurations. When a sheet metal part is onto the drawing, SolidWorks automatically create the derived configurations. SML flat pattern configuration does not exist until the part is onto the drawing. For the part made of base flange sheet metal method derived configuration, Figure 35.2 show the default arrangement. So if you now went to the property manager's default tree, property pattern configurations, default sheet metal 1. If your part is already multiple configuration, only configuration that's shown on the drawing will derive the flat pattern. If you show another configuration on the drawing, the derived flat pattern will automatically create what you show the flat pattern with this configuration. Best practice, be careful to plan making sheet metal with drawings derived configuration reasons for other than flat pattern automatic drive. The flat pattern configuration functionality may or may not be able to work manually or design table-driven configuration scheme. Second way to use the flat pattern sheet metal with a drawing is if you drop down the list reference configuration pane with the drawing view property manager, you can select the derived flat pattern configuration from there. Flat patterns, you can use the two methods by be oriented differently. If you use the flat pattern selection from the more views options, you also will get the bend lines, annotations, make of the direction, angle of the inside radius, bending, and the difference between the resulting view of the two methods illustrated in 35.3. Property manager flat pattern views contain with many settings but not shown with the discuss here. You may find it useful to explore the entire content of the property manager for the view to see other items that you can control. You include the rotation view, the scale, and quality of the view, and cosmic threads, and many others. 353 comparing flat patterns view placed on the more views option showing with the derived flat pattern configuration. Showing bend lines, bend notation, showing with the derived configuration bend lines not included with the view with the turn on the bend lines. You need with the feature menu with the view with the scroll with the flat pattern, feature with the expand with the right click with the bending lines, sketch with the select show. 35.4 show the drawing feature manager with the bend lines, select, sketch highlighted. We've now went to bend line, we show the highlighted feature. You get the bend notes to show up, you need to view the drawing view, property manager, bend notes panel, showing with the 35.5. Drawing view, reference configuration, rename, orientation, mirror, import annotations, design annotations, 3D annotations, display state 2, bend notations. Configure the content bend note for the text box in text box, and then box located at the bottom of the screen represented with the order on the left to right, bend direction, supplementary angle, angle, and bend radius, bend order, bend allowance. Other options display the bend notes, but they also will be able to select dual options. Document property sheet metal bend note styles. You can choose the following options: above bend, bend low bend with leader. When notes are above the below the bend lines, align with the bend line, so the notes are called be horizontal, vertical, or line. If their succession bends interrupted in some way that goes to another, one to another. These notations can be the top of one another and difficult to read. If you with leader option all notes horizontal with respect to the drawing sheet with leader option bending line, should explore the setting with above mentioned tools option locations, and there several locations can help you control the appearance of the bend notes, including layer, color, line type, font, border, and so on. Notice that too that you have a powerful function that covers the insertion, cut list properties in the drawing. Showing boundary box for a flat pattern. Solidworks automatically calculates the bounding box sheet metal flat pattern, but this is the smallest rectangle the flat pattern will fit. This is going to give the manufacturing process cuts so they flat pattern individual blanks rather than bigger sheet. With nested flat patterns, generally the bigger sheet allows your greater material efficiency. That may also be the difficult to manage if you don't have the equipment. It may be unnecessary if you are making low volumes of certain parts. The bounding box must be aligned that you might expect with the representative of the smallest rectangle. The SolidWorks calculates include with the flat pattern. Many shops have separate nesting software, maybe to allow with a custom fit with some additional options. If you make sure the shop would benefit with the bounding box with the drawing you want to as directly. You can have some of the control over the bounding box if specified with the grain direction of the flat pattern. Property manager bounding box will align with the grain direction. You can use the edge axis for the sketch to define with the grain direction and the pattern streaks. Face sheet metals indicate the direction of sheets when processed in fabrication. Sheet metal properties can vary somewhat in measured width and against the grain, sometimes with the grain specified with a certain orientation and aesthetic reasons. Bounding box is stored with the sheet metal in part of the sketch, which you can see with the right below with the bend line shown figure 35.4, which can show the sketch on the drawing will display in construction line. 35.6 shows the flat pattern with the boundary box. Showing bends areas on the part. If you want to show the height of the bends area, all the bends of the flattened part and the part into the open window. Edit the flat pattern feature. Edit the feature with the drawing. You must do with this part's own window. The flat pattern property manager. Make sure the merge face option is turned off. Figure 35.6 show the bend line with the merge face turned off. 35.7 show the bend lines merge face on. 35.7 show the bend area setting available from the model. Figure 35.7 with the tangent area edges are set to use on a font. You can set the view display tangent edges with a font or on the right menu mouse button view for the view. As noted, showing the flat pattern part with the welded corners. Welded corners must be suppressed before flat pattern can be shown. This case of the part is used in figure 35.7. Showing a boundary box on the drawing. Showing tangent bend lines and flattening patterns. Making drawings multi-body sheet metal parts. You cannot flatten multiple sheet bodies simultaneously with a single sheet metal part. However, the Solidworks is adding more capability drawing multi-body parts. Might be able to use them at the bridge and single body whenever the other parts, such as small weld bits or PEM fasteners pressed into the sheet metal part, creating an inseparable sub-assembly. 35-8 show the two different parts in the area of the chapter. Of the part left, the simple sheet part with the PEM standoff with the Solidworks toolbar pressed into the holes. The part on the right show the sheet metal part with the multiple sheet metal parts, simple plate intended with the welded together. Both methods are valid use of multi-body sheet metal parts. For displaying bodies on sheet metal part with the Solidworks allows to hide bodies with the drawing view of the CUDA. Click on the inside view of the top property manual view of the reference configuration panel is in button laid. Select the bodies of the body chain with the bodies of the visual drawing view. Select the bodies body selection list showing figure 35-9. Selection of the bodies on the shown on the drawing. Reference configuration defaults like bodies. Message and scope. Caution, you select bodies button with the reference configuration on the panel view property to manage for the hide buttons. Bodies on the view and other methods may not be able to control the bodies shown on the particular view. Whether the bug of the design is unclear, but the functionality doesn't appear to be consistent. Functionality allows you to view the part on the color for the drawing does not apply with the bodies. If setting with all the bodies, you view the part, but if you view the part appearance color is always part of the assignment. Appearance assignment, although the part is not displayed with the color, the example seal appearance must be. You still have blue color assigned. You must see with the texture-like appearance when the part is shaded, but you will see associated color with the part shown in wireframe mode. Alright, when using a cutting loose sheet metal part, with creating a new sheet metal part with a feature manager automatically gets a new item called the cut list. The cut list, technically called weldment cut list, is used in sheet metal as well as weldments to keep track of the parts of the metal modeled as bodies. The cut list is not very interesting. Until you have multiple pieces in the list. This happens in a part only when you have multiple bodies. But beyond multiple bodies, interim condition when you're bringing between bodies, the cut list is used when the final model is intended to have the multiple bodies. Review the cut list of the drawing. Each of the individual pieces that go together to make the finished part of these pieces can be purchased hardware, other sheet metal parts, welded plates, or among other items. You can add several types of values to the cut list. Essential building materials for welded assemblies. Activate the interface cut list property. Right click with the cut list folder and select properties. Figure 3510 shows the default cut list property table. Alright, managing cut list property. Fill out with the custom cut list property custom list summary. Same way that you would view the custom property data entry. Notice that every several property that already exists the cut list includes sheet metal, specifically bounding box length, the sheet metal thickness, the number of bends, material, special cut list specification, description. Add more custom properties as well. Note that on the left figure 3510 lists all the cut list items, enables you to set up the property each item almost with the value of the automated syntax or like descriptions. Any of the custom properties you add require the manual data entry. Next step, arranging all of the cut list properties to create with the drawing. Added the cut list to view. Created a drawing multi-sheet body part that you can play with the cut list on this place. Placing cut list on the drawing. After creating multi-body sheet metal part filled out and custom list properties created with a list of at least one drawing view part platform you had already been cut in the list of the drawing will assume the place for the default cut list need with a customized one. Later, the next section with the description as how to create a custom cut list after you have made one that suits your needs. When the multi-body sheet metal drawing activity insert the table's welding cut list property shown figure 3511. First option, weldment cut list property is to select with the template by the default, but the only single sample table, which would probably need to be customized. Whatever you need to do this you should do that shortly. After you set the option justification, play with the cut list for the drawings by the clicking wherever you want to play for the table. Note that you drag the table around, snaps to the drawing format border. You place it at one of these snap locations, just place it in the blank area on the drawing. When you select with the column header labeled letter, column property manager will appear along with the text formatting. This will show in figure 3512. From there, you change the information from the selected column. The first three column properties are built-in property, the item number, the quantity, the description, cut items, the number, live, the user-defined option, the manual entry, whatever you want, text we want. The cut list item property option allows you to select the listed automated values shown with the 3512. Edited columns, right-click on the column, selecting insert column, right column, left column, left. Item columns are formatted like others. Saving cut list template. After you customize the cut list the way you want it, automated manual entry field set up to save the time on the next use. Either the similar table you can save the table as a template. Right-click the table shows as save as option file. The type as assigned is solid welded template. Solid weld table. Long file extension resume stands for welded table template. Although welded table cut list not necessarily the same thing, you do this as the same template. The templates for the file location step with the welded table templates. You can format tools option file location welded cut list templates, which can default with the points to C program, SolidWorks, Corp, SolidWorks, language, English, but you can add and should keep it all of the custom templates in a path that would be overwritten, that won't be overwritten or reinstalling, uninstalling software placed with multiple users can share the necessary. Next time you need to use this template, you can select it using a table template drop-down list, welding cut list, to property manager. Alright, bottom line. SolidWorks has a lot of special drawing functionality building around sheet metal parts. You may want to create a special template and format sheet metal drawings, even with the multi-page drawings, including both flat form views of parts. Multi-body modeling in sheet metals opens another range of possibilities and documentation inseparable of the similarly small weldments using sheet metal parts. Use for the cut list is similar to use the bill of material thoroughly originally intended for the weldments, also useful for the sheet metal parts. Master. Create a blank drawing of the B-size template with a second page for the example of the mastering 2-page B-size drawing document. Remove any predefined views. Create flat pattern drawing view of the chapter 35 master at one solid part. Apply bending notes with the view. Show bending lines without bending areas. Show bounding box flat pattern view. Second page, place isometric view of the part shape with the edges mode. Make sure the custom property parts have been filled with a tile block information isometric view 2 to 1. Master apply orient dimensions in the horizontal direction, major edges of the baseline dimension vertically. Master it on second page, place an isometric view over the part shade with the edges mode, and make sure the custom properties of the parts are filled out when the tile block information is isometric view 2 to 1. Chapter 36, Creating Weldments and Weldment Drawings.